training right now, getting ready for the season, and still throwing down hammer dunks. And look how fired up he is. This is just in a training session, and he's this fired up. I can't wait to see that intensity out on the floor for the purple and gold, and I especially can't wait to see Russell Westbrook.
New Laker addition Carmelo Anthony was at the UCLA Health Training Center putting up shots for his first official workout as he prepares for Lakers to go after their 18th championship title. Now, the last 2 seasons with the Trailblazers, Melo has averaged 14 points on 43% shooting from the field while hitting 40% outside the arc on 28 minutes a game. Melo shared his excitement to put on the purple and gold.
My first time here in the building, at the facility, on the court. Still trying to get my bearings, wrap my head around the fact that I'm wearing this purple and gold. But you know, my first workout here went great today. Felt good in here today. Felt good being in here. Again, it's just like any other court, but when that purple and gold is different. It always been, it always has been, and it always will be. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. You know, I wish my fans could see me in here working, but just know that I'm in here working. I'm home now. It's still August, going into September, but I can say I finally made my way back into this building, on this court. It's been a long time coming, so I'm excited about it. The fans, you guys should be excited about it as well. The Laker Nation should be excited about it as well.
If you think back to the bubble and going into the playoffs, literally Rajon Rondo, I know he doesn't believe it. He validated every theory we had about playoff Rondo because we really weren't thinking about him contributing to the team because he was coming off injury and he didn't show much at the end of the regular season. Remember, we didn't even know if he would be healthy, and he became the 3rd best player on the team, basically proving that playoff Rondo exists.
Yeah, it's almost like, and indeed, he doesn't like that nickname. It's not like it's Pansy Rondo or Petunia Rondo. It's a pretty cool name. What's wrong with playoff Rondo, right? But he said, no, I don't want to be known as that guy. Sure enough, by the way, he breaks his thumb right before the playoffs started, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Missed the first round. Comes back in for the start of the second round against Houston. Pays off right away. Averages
awesome
11 and 7 off the bench. Helps him get out of that series. Like you said, good in the finals, too. Not only that big run in the series clincher in Game 6 of the finals. In Game 2, he had a double-double, 16 points, 10 assists. So he was pretty solid throughout that series, and now they get him back. You know, and you know who likes this probably more than anybody? Frank Vogel. Because you lose some defense when you lose guys like KCP and Schroeder, who's kind of antagonistic, of course. Caruso, even Kuzma, very underrated as a defender. Now you're finally starting to get back some defensive chops with a guy like Rondo. He can run that second unit. And it's just a good, inexpensive signing for them. Vets minimum of about $2.6 million.
Well, you know who's happier than Frank Vogel? Anthony Davis, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at what Anthony Davis has been able to do with Rondo on his team, the chemistry that those two have, undenied. He and Dwight both have mentioned, guys, that they want to come back for a parade in L.A. They really feel like they got robbed at that opportunity because of COVID. All right, let's kind of move forward to where he fits on this team, right? Is he the 3rd point guard behind Westbrook and none, and obviously you got to throw LeBron in there because we all know he's a hybrid point guard. Does this affect THT? I mean, these are questions that Frank Vogel's going to have to answer, and Rajon Rondo. Where do you think he fits?
Yeah, it kind of depends on this. Where do you play none? He's one of those guys, he's got like a shooter's mentality in a point guard's body. Mm-hmm. So he really is a two who plays some one, not a big assist guy. So maybe if he plays more two, that opens up some space for Rondo to be the point guard with the second unit. Frank Vogel, it's just such a fascinating team. I mean, you and I talked about this the other day, Geet. There's not a lot of guys who have played in the 5 to 8 year range on this team. You've got guys coming off their rookie contracts, and you've got a bunch of old guys, so to speak, in their 30s.
There's no in between.
There's no in between. There's no gray area on this roster right now. So it's going to be fascinating to see if you're Frank Vogel. Do you play a guy like Wayne Ellington, who shoots 42% from three-point range? Or do you play a guy like THT, who is 20 years old, just signed a nice 3-year extension with the Lakers? He's one of the young future guys in this franchise. So Frank has a lot of interesting decisions. It's a very deep team for sure.
You know, one thing Rondo has said, James, and he said it to the media and to you, Brez, was he understands where he's at in his career, and he understands that he's going to play less than he wants to. I mean, every guy, and James, you can attest this better than us, when you're in the NBA, you think you can play 48. You know you can't when you get older, but you know he's going to want to be a part of it. And James, there's something about Rondo, man, and you watched it even when he left the Lakers, and he had a couple games with the Clippers. There's games where it's his game. And Frank, and you'll figure that out. They will figure that out.
Yeah, and I think, too, you know, the Lakers' goal, like right now, like yesterday, is to win a championship. They know they have LeBron for a window. They need someone who can help, you know, breed AD and teach him the game a little bit more, an experienced point guard. And so I think they're going to use him. I think his minutes are going to be productive. They're going to be, you know, thought about in ways that he can run with the second unit. I think all the other guys, you know, Ellington, you know, Monk, some of those guys, they're the ones that I don't think are going to get the minutes in the rotation. They're specialists, they're shooters. When we need them, we'll have them. But I don't think they're bringing Rondo back just because they got him for, you know, a little over $2 million. He's going to be vital because he's already proven here that he's a winner. So I'm sure LeBron likes that conversation. Westbrook, I don't think they've ever had a chance to, you know, play with each other. So that's going to be interesting. I think he'll play with that second unit. Maybe not all the time because I think Tucker's going to get his minutes. He's young. None if he plays like he did in Miami and can prove to be a consistent shooter and scorer.
Minutes.
He's going to play. And so, but I think they're going to use Rondo in the right role.
I want to hear about your thoughts on Frank Vogel. Obviously, some big moments for him in his short tenure with the Lakers. But now he's got some problems, maybe some good problems, because he's got some really good veteran players and a few young, potentially good under 30 guys. What's he going to do as far as like balancing these guys in the rotation?
Well, the one thing about Coach Vogel, one of his major assets is his ability to communicate with his players. Historically, I've always heard that, you know, he's a man of his word. He comes to you right away. You hear it from him first. I think we experienced that a little bit this past season when he had to make some decisions about how he was going to play, like Marc Gasol after Drummond came in, and also with veteran players like Morris, you know, deciding when their minutes were better for the team and when they were not. So I think he'll continue that. He seems to have had that over his career. I think the nuclear of players, LeBron, AD, and, you know, we got Rondo coming back, and I think they all seem to agree and adhere to his philosophy. Defense first, and then everything seems to trickle down. So I don't foresee it as a problem. And I think for most of the veteran players who are coming here, Carmelo and Wayne Ellington and guys like that, you know, Nunn coming in from Miami, I think they have a pretty good idea of what they're going to get. You know, Bazemore made a comment about, with Vogel, he lays it out there. You know, you have to earn it. And I think that's what most players like to hear.
You know, you hit on a lot of those veteran guys, and there are plenty of them. on the Lakers, almost 3/4 of the roster right now. Having so many vets is a good thing, but can that also be a lot of voices in that huddle too?
It can be,
Yeah.
because all these veterans bring a ton of experience. Last year we were fortunate enough to have Jared Dudley be one of those guys. The year before that, it was Rondo. But when you get a collective effort, I think you have to choose the ones who are vocal. And I think veteran players have a tendency to do that. Wayne Ellington is not a guy that's a big, talker, not a big vocal guy. I think in practice you get that type of encouragement. Bazemore is kind of a, I'll show you what I can do. So I think there's certain guys like Rondo who has an amount of value when he speaks. Carmelo's been around for a while. He'll probably add some value as well. So I think veteran players know who has the voice, and they kind of allow that to play out.
The Lakers lost some pretty good defenders during the offseason. Obviously KCP, Caruso, Schroeder, a feisty point guard defensively, Kyle Kuzma. So had some pretty good moments on D as well. Frank Vogel, obviously a very defensive-minded coach. The Lakers had the top-rated defense in the league last year. How does he kind of keep that going, that mindset, with some really new personnel here?
Yeah, it seems to always be a challenge. I remember we let Dwight Howard go and McGee, and we didn't have any shot blocking.
Yeah.
And he still was able to maintain until the injuries. We still had AD. He still was able to maintain a pretty good defensive team, and I think he'll be able to do that again this year. Bringing back shot blockers, that's going to help. Anytime you have shot blockers, it allows the perimeter players to be better defensive players than they really are, because they can pressure a little bit more, deny a little bit more, because they know they have rim protection. So I expect that to be the same.
We've talked a lot about the new faces for the players, some new faces for the coaching staff, too. There's been some turnover there. Jason Kidd gone. Lionel Hollins no longer here. David Fizdale brought in to help as an assistant coach. Mike Penberthy now on the front of the bench. What does Frank have to do to kind of make sure the coaching chemistry is good as well?
Yeah, I think that'd be the easiest thing to deal with. Assistant coaches are pretty good at adjusting to what the coach wants and what he needs. And so I think the two names that you mentioned are guys that, he knows very well, and they know his philosophy. And so they'll handle certain things in practice, and they'll be able to add, a little adjustments here and there. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. It's because it's always the head coach is the guy that's the last voice you're going to hear out of a huddle. So I think the two that you named are ready. They've proven themselves already. I think they'll pick up where the other two left off.